Hey, we are here, and Kiara's got me turned up on her tweeter.
I have you so loud. Oh my god.
She's gonna turn me
There we
down.
go.
It is
That's better.
it is Tuesday, and we have lots of fun news to talk about today, mainly focused on America. There's been a lot of stuff happening in America over the last.
I love America. I don't know anyone who likes to talk about America more than you.
Yeah, I'm probably like the biggest America maxi.
It's not true. Actually, Ron Hammond likes to talk about America more than you.
That is true, and he's gonna
But
be
it is
on.
literally his.
Is he gonna be on Friday?
Monday.
Okay, cool. So we have a special guest coming up next Monday. In the meantime, we're a live show Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We're on Twitter Spaces, Twitter live videos. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch.
Heck yeah.
Pretty much anywhere. And also Spotify. So share, like, subscribe, help get the word out. Yeah, that's what I got for that. And a quick shout out to Avalanche. We're all going to make it. Just maybe not on the timeline that we originally.
Not from when you originally bought that hoodie, is that what you're saying?
When I bought the hoodie, my timeline to making it was a little different than right now. But nonetheless, big fan, Avalanche. Hey, obviously, we've been friends forever.
We are talking about America today, but I have to be clear that we have to talk about the SEC a lot. Like, sometimes we have a couple of new listeners. I saw a couple on Twitter Spaces today. The SEC is not our favorite topic. It's just that they're in the news a lot. So we have to dispel the FUD around them and also the hype around them.
Yeah,
we have like 4 different SEC articles that just came out overnight, which is so brutal. And then there's U.S. House Committee stuff and more crypto bills and more about FTX. And I don't know, Tuesdays always end up being this catch-all day where like it's all the news that you see.
Everybody too excited to watch the episode.
But it is. It's this catch-all day. So it's all the news that you see all week that you're like, does that matter to me? And the answer is sort of.
The answer is absolutely it does. And we're going to help you. All right. So we're talking about SEC. We're talking about what else? We got
I just ran through it. Literally
Richard Hart.
Moment.
He's going to get added to FU Friday. I was talking about Richard Hart just the other day. We're going to talk about FTX. We're talking about U.S.
I just said this.
I know, but I'm just reminding myself what's going on. All right. We're going to do our fancy new song. And for the peeps on Twitter Spaces, I'm going to try to play it out of my speakers again.
It works.
So, I think it does. Yeah.
It's just quiet.
All right. Well, I can turn it up. Okay. Shh. Let's fucking go.
Jamie's got his on-air sign on.
Yeah, I turned that on this time too. I was like, man.
So exciting. What a time to be alive.
We can't be missing the on-air sign. That's like the best part.
Oh my goodness.
My number one.
All right.
Okay. Anyways, you can screen grab that.
Ha. Okay. Great idea. We'll get on Ricky to make you just a reel of you pointing at that.
Awesome. In all the different merch.
Yeah. I'm going to change all your profile photos to that. Okay.
I like it. All right.
The SEC is doing a lot of things right now. And somehow we're back on the Coinbase train and still trying to dive into that and why it's been such a big deal and why it's still in the news. But the news overnight was that the SEC felt that they had a great case because they had provided Coinbase guidance. They had, in fact, asked Coinbase to stop trading all crypto except Bitcoin.
Yeah, okay, here. You should willingly put your business out of business to give us.
Well, you'd be compliant, which is what they've been saying the whole time.
Yeah, all of my non-existent businesses are compliant too. They don't service any clients, so.
I don't really know what to say about this other than I feel like the SEC is grasping, right? They're trying to say, we provided guidance and we don't know why you're being so difficult about it. And anybody who's involved in crypto is like, well, obviously we wouldn't have had a business if we had complied, and then we wouldn't be here today anyways to have this argument. But what's interesting about this to me is that last week we talked about Craig Satoshi Wright, and if they had fully complied, they would have been required to remove Bitcoin from their exchange under him, and then all other cryptos from the SEC. So I don't know, not that those are equal power. I'm not trying to falsify. I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges here, but it's just kind of interesting to think like we're operating in this really uncertain time and we're operating under so much scrutiny from who knows whom right now.
Yeah. This is a lot of lawyering, I think. We've been talking about this for a while. Like a lot of these posts are just positioning. The SEC is trying to at least claim that, you know, they did have conversation and Coinbase just didn't like what they were hearing. Obviously, that's not the case as far as I understand. But
well, the SEC is also trying to say that most crypto is a security, but not Bitcoin.
Yep. I have no.
Does that put Bitcoin as a commodity? Is that what they're going for?
Or a currency.
Oh, you think they're just going to currency it? Do you think we're going to become a Bitcoin country?
Probably not anytime. that would be the way to I think to regulate it in a way that they want. But anyways,
Now,
we could spend all day talking about.
The other thing that's important to note here is that apparently it wasn't a formal request. This was like a request made in conversation. There was no actual cease and desist style letter. And so it was kind of like a verbal recommendation that nobody followed.
Yeah. Good luck proving that, obviously. This whole thing is just, I think they're just going to drag it out, waste money on litigation until there's regulation, and then they're going to either settle or drop it once the regulation is clear, and it'll be done. But once regulation comes out, I've been saying this for a few days now, actually, the enforcement actions, I think, are going to be fast and furious. So,
days. I think you've been saying that for like 2 years.
Yeah, but I think that I was kind of going through with some partners last little bit, like how the space is going to respond to regulation and what that's going to look like. And, you know, there's a lot of protocols and platforms that are still doing things that are absolutely not legal under any regulatory regime, regardless of whether it's CFTC or SEC. And so I just think, you know, we all need to be paying attention that when this happens, we have to respond. We can't just wait and hope for the best, in my opinion.
Well, did Richard Hart respond? It's my best segue ever.
Yeah. So this guy is exactly everything that's wrong about crypto in one dude. No, honestly, the guy.
I don't know if you've ever hated someone so much. That was impressive.
He really he embodies all of the problems with the space. So he's not very smart. He might be smart, but he doesn't come across smart. So he just gets out there and says dumb shit all the time. He looks like he's kind of homeless. He's always wearing obnoxious clothing and posts videos of himself buying.
Who is he? What does he do?
So he started Hex.
Oh yeah.
And then Hex 2, and then Pulse Chain, and he's raised $1 billion, and clearly he's spending it on himself. I don't think Hex is fucking useless. Pulse Chain was a giant flop. I think this is well overdue and this is just, I think recently Pulse Chain just flopped and essentially was a giant failure after he had raised.
What's well overdue? We haven't actually said what is happening. You've just been talking about.
Oh, I thought we introduced the SEC lawsuit. Yeah, so the SEC is suing him, essentially saying that he's using raised funds for personal purchases, which is obviously what's happening.
I would say so.
Because there's no other meaningful value accrual of any of those ecosystems that I'm aware of. But I mean, again, he's been around kind of trolling in the space for a long time. He's got a lot of those cypherpunk kind of followers, younger people that are all in on Richard Hart because he's one of those guys.
Because he bought a 555 carat black diamond. Who wouldn't be in love with him? Yeah.
I mean, he's done a lot of ridiculous stuff. I don't have all those. I got to look at the article to see all those amazing things. So yeah, 12 million of investors' funds on sports cars, watches, and a black diamond.
Solid.
Yeah, he essentially promised these crazy returns, which is again, you can't market sales in the US to average people. Yeah. And if you do, there's a whole bunch of laws and restrictions around what you can say. Promising big returns is a big no-no. He absolutely did that. in many different ways on many different occasions. And so this will be interesting. I don't like to see anybody in this kind of hot water, but I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I guess.
I guess so. So that's kind of like what the SEC is doing, but we still have news about the U.S. House Committee continuing on with the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act. Yeah. And I think that you'll probably talk with Ron Hammond a bit more about this, but we should touch on it, which is that the U.S. House Committee approved the Crypto Regulatory Clarity Act with 35 positive votes. It's bipartisan, I believe. So I don't think anyone's surprised that it was approved, except that we didn't know it was piggybacking on. So I don't know. It seems positive to have it approved.
Yeah, we still don't really know what it's piggybacking on. It's going to be thrown in as a part of an omnibus, I think, in the fall. People are suggesting the government funding bill, which is supposed to be in September, and they always push it off till the end of December. And then it's almost a government shutdown in December every year. It's like this big kerfuffle every year in the US. But it'll probably get stuck in with that. Bipartisan was really critical here because that shows that there's potentially support later in the Senate and eventually the White House. There was one bill that didn't get bipartisan. That was the stablecoin.
Oh.
The stablecoin bill got, it did pass still technically, but it was along party lines. So Republicans, there's more Republicans in committee than Democrats because they're the majority right now. So they win de facto. And there was no defections from.
It looks Democrats. Like the Keep Your Coins Act was also passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's exciting. You don't think that's exciting?
I think, again, regardless of the substance of these bills, I just want to see some bills go through. Like,
well, you got 4.
Yeah, I know, but they still have to get put in place and then figure out what the transition looks like. All of which I have no clue currently. But
well, I mean, the Blockchain Association is way more excited about it than you are.
They're very excited. Yeah, and that's really my litmus test. Is we're members of Blockchain Association and others, and for very important reasons. And if they're happy, then we think they have the most thorough understanding of the space and key stakeholders' perspectives. So it's definitely positive, regardless.
Well, do you want to jump into the bills a little bit more? I feel like we got cut off last week about your opinions on the 4 bills.
Let's do it. So we've got the Fit for 21st Century.
Yeah.
That has.
That was your favorite, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the one that I think encompasses things the best. Okay. I think. Then
so what does it mean for you that that bill has been passed with the U.S. House Financial Services Committee?
Yeah.
What are you?
It hasn't really been passed. It's just come out of markups. But well, I just think, again, I'm not a huge fan of the majority of things being securities, but I am a huge fan of some sort of definition of what constitutes a security for digital assets and what constitutes a commodity for digital assets and which one we like better. And I think there's going to be no silver bullet, perfect way to do this. Like I just don't think any regulation is going to be perfect. I'm just excited to see something come out so that we've got something to point to that, yes, we're doing what we're supposed to, or no, we're not, let's fix it. So the stablecoin, stablecoin has been a contentious piece. I'm not surprised because there's this tug of war between monetary policy and whether it's, what type of regulatory authority we have to have over it. So that one's kind of interesting. The Keep Your Coins Act, of course, I'm a big fan. But yeah.
Tell me more about, so you said that with the Stablecoin Act, some things were passed and some things were revised. Do you have more information about that? Were you on the BA call?
I was not on that. I was not on that one.
I thought you went. My bad.
Nope. Put me on the spot and I don't have an answer.
Usually I go and I didn't go either. So the biggest call in the history of BA calls, and we both did not.
Well, to our defense, I was scheduled to go and then they changed the time last second. So
that's right. Okay, well, last thing that's up today is FTX. I can't believe that FTX is still in the news. I don't know how long this is going to go on for.
Yeah, this one, I don't understand. Like, the brand reputation is dead. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I
there's
wouldn't do it.
like, the more information that's come out about FTX, I mean, the more obvious it's become that this business
No,
was not.
instead, let's have an offshore exchange relaunch.
Yeah, like let's try to leverage that brand.
Let's go for it.
I think you'd be orders of magnitude better off to start a new brand. So
You
you're
know,
not
to be fair, they are a household name.
for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but you know, people know the name.
Yeah, I mean, so it's important to note here, I think, why they're doing this. So when a trustee comes in to manage a bankruptcy, which is what happened, there's like an interim, CEO and management team and board of directors, and there's this whole process of kind of going through bankruptcy protection and what that looks like. And anyways, their sole job is to gather as much value and distribute it to the creditors of the organization. That's their number one focus, is as trustees, is to try to pay as many creditors as possible. Well, FTX has a lot of creditors, as you can imagine. One of the easiest ways to come up with cash, not easiest, but most obvious ways, is to relaunch the exchange and create revenue. If you launch a new exchange, you're not taking the revenue from said exchange and paying it back to FTX people. You should. Right. But that's not what they would do. So I kind of understand why they're doing this. I just think, I mean, this isn't the first time that, like, the guy that's dealing with the trustee was the same trustee for Enron. Right. I mean, so this guy's not like new to this whole thing. So I just really don't understand what they're trying to do, other than if it's an offshore, then they're allowed to service non-US customers, which could be fine. But
I don't know. I don't think that'd be fine. The other thing that's important to note here is that FTT token holders won't be compensated since it's a security. I feel like if you have that bad brand reputation and then you can't provide compensation, like I don't see how that's going to end well. I don't know.
Yeah. FTT is actually one of the things that exacerbated the problem, I think, right. Because they were just leveraging the shit out of their FTT tokens. They were using FTT to backstop values everywhere, and they had created it out of nowhere. It was kind of like a giant IOU.
Wow.
Yeah, very strange, very strange. But I mean, obviously there's waterfall priorities and all this stuff. This is how it works. I was kind of going into that. So the way it works is there's a hierarchy of creditors: first position, second position, all the way down to you and me that have accounts. Well, I don't know if you had an account there, but we do, that they owe us a pretty good amount of money, $500,000, I think. We had assets there for market making, for what it's worth. So, but anyways, what happens is, as revenue comes in, or as they find more of the resources that seemingly were lost, or some of these investments that Alameda made come up and they can actually liquidate some of them at a decent price, they start paying off creditors. And so, but they pay them in, like, it's not willy-nilly. There's an order, and it's a big negotiation, and it's a whole thing on who's first and who's second and whatever. But that's ultimately for the courts and the trustees to decide. So anyways, I mean, like I said, I get why they're trying to do this, because they have to do everything to try to, fill the gaps. I'll tell you one thing for free: I won't be using new FTX.
Okay. I have to ask, what's the litmus for that, though? Like, let's say that new FTX launches and we don't believe in it, but other people do, and they're around for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. At what point would that brand be healed for you? Does that make sense?
So this is like an interesting, it's a kind of a confusing scenario in my mind, at least, because actually FTX, in the way, if they relaunch, they're probably going to be the best brand centralized exchange possible, because they're under every microscope.
So much scrutiny.
But sentiment, it doesn't necessarily follow that. So as an example, when a bridge gets hacked, I'll give you 2 examples of bridge hacks that obviously are relevant. So there was the wormhole bridge hack, exploit, which happened a while ago. Within like an hour, kind of market bought $250 million worth of ETH and made everybody whole instant. So, okay, perfect. Now, after that exploit, Wormhole arguably was much stronger than it was before because that's one more vulnerability plugged. The flip side is the Nomad hack. Nomad was exploited. They had no cash. They didn't make their users whole. And they didn't make the protocol better. And as a consequence, the protocol doesn't exist anymore. And so there's kind of two different scenarios. Wormhole kept going and pushing forward. They had done what they had to maintain sentiment, though. Where this is a little bit different is anybody that was using FTX for the last almost year has been sitting in limbo.
Right.
And sentiment for every user is going to be negative because they weren't made whole fast enough. Some people, that was everything they had was in FTX, Celsius, Galaxy, Gemini, like all of these different venues, BlockFi, Block Tower, like anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be, it probably won't succeed, although it could, because in theory, like I said, it's going to be run better than, in theory, it should be run better and under more scrutiny than any other centralized exchange.
Right.
So I don't know. It's the same thing. Like if they were to relaunch in the US as a regulated entity, the way that we all believe it's going to have to be, same thing. They're going to be handheld by the SEC and by FINRA and by anybody that's a regulator in the US. So arguably they'll be more squeaky clean than anybody. But sentiment is just, it's a mofo. Once everybody's kind of turned off of something and has a negative emotional experience, it's tough to
turn that
around. Yeah.
I mean, like a new Coke.
New Coke. Yeah. In America, the Coke Zero looks exactly the same as normal Coke. Yeah. Super strange.
Yeah, it's super
messes with my head all the time.
All right.
Anyways. Okay. So
that's the news.
To sum up, yeah, there wasn't like too much
kind of a lame
stuff going on. Yeah, it was a little bit lame. But I mean, SEC obviously is kind of front and center. Congress front and center, and FTX beat it. As far as I'm concerned, they should just lock that guy up and throw away that key. But anyways, I mean, hopefully we'll have everything covered for you tomorrow. What is it DGen day tomorrow?
Tomorrow's DGen day. So if you have DGen news, let us know.
DGen news, yeah. Send us a comment or send us a private message. Let us know what you want to talk about. Evie, I see you. Good day, sir. Nikki, hello. So anyways, we're a live show Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, same place, Twitter Spaces, Twitter live video, and all over the place. Like, share, subscribe, bookmark on Twitter Spaces for us, please. It really helps with reach. And today with that, I say, Kiara,
go find yourself.
Later.